So get out your guys' homework from last night. You have a quiz tomorrow. That's all we're doing here. You don't actually have to stay on while you're doing this. Make sure you upload it. Has to be uploaded to the assignments. You guys did a great job with that on your homework. You're going to do it the same way. Now, I'm expecting this, because of how many problems there are, this to take a couple pages in your notebook. That's fine. If you want to print it off, that's fine too, and just send me that. It's going to be front and back, about the same, about 8 questions. Now, I got to see this, so I got to pin my video. So hold on. Let's get started. So the very first thing, and I kind of warned you guys about this the other day, is pay attention to which function it's saying. So in my f function, I need to know what my value is when x is -2. So plug it in the opposite, and I need to see all of your work on this tomorrow. So -2 squared plus 3 times -2 minus 2. By the way, that's enough of the work to show me. From here, I do not care if you guys use your calculator. That's fine. One of the things with your calculator I want to show you, though, if you are doing this, I need to use this as the negative sign, and this is a minus sign. Big difference. So if I want the opposite of -2, I have to hit the opposite. So this one, parenthesis, parenthesis, -2, again, close your parenthesis, and then squared is the button catty corner from the, or diagonal from the 7, plus 3 parenthesis -2 parenthesis, and this is the only time that I've hit the -2. If you get an error, that means you plugged in a negative where there should be a minus, or a minus where you should put a negative. Then you hit enter, and there you go. By the way, if you keep getting calculator errors because I cannot help you with your calculator on a test or a quiz, then just do it by hand. All right? My answer is -12. If I do it by hand, I've got the opposite of -2 squared is 4. 3 times -2 is -6 minus 2. Well, the opposite of 4, that's -4 minus 6 minus 2, which is -12. I actually think this is easier to do by hand. Less likely to make a mistake than in the calculator. I want to use my g function for b. So for my g function, that's this function when x is 0. So 3 times 0 is 0, show the work. 0 minus 5 is just -5. So those first two should be pretty simple. C and D are more of a challenge. So what are you plugging in for x? The quantity of 3x plus 2. So I have the opposite in my f function. I have the opposite of 3x plus 2 squared plus 3 times 3x plus 2 minus 2. And I'm telling you right now, if you do not show your work, if you just write the answers, you will not get any credit. You have to show me what you're plugging in. This is going to be worth multiple points on each one. Now, when you do this, your calculator will not do this for you. You have to square it first. Now, some of you guys know how to do this, the shortcut, which I'll tell you in a second, but if you ever have the quantity squared, that means you have to write it out twice. FOIL it before you distribute. So FOIL it, that's 9x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 4, but don't forget that negative sign out here stays there. Now I can distribute it, and it's -9x squared minus 12x minus 4. distribute 9x plus 6 minus 2. Combine your like terms. Negative 12x. I'm sorry, negative 12x plus 9x. And negative 4 plus 6 is 2, minus 2 is 0. So that's my entire answer. Any questions? By the way, the shortcut to foiling, if you have a quantity squared, square the first term, 9x squared. Because you do it twice, 3x times 2 and 3x times 2, you take 2 times this. So 2 times 2 is 4 times 3x is 12x. That's how I got this. If you don't know it, just multiply it out like this.
How did you do the very last part? Which ones did you get rid of and which ones did you keep?
What do you mean when I'm...
Yeah, like which ones, the ones you crossed off, what did you do there?
Oh, I'm just combining my like terms. So I start with negative 9x squared. There's nothing I could add or subtract to it, so it's gone. This negative 12x, I can only add or subtract to 9x, which is negative 3x, which I put there, and it's gone. And then the negative 4 plus 6 is positive 2 minus 2 is 0, so they all cancel out. That's just how I combine like terms. I circle the like terms and cross them out.
How did you get the negative 4 if it was a plus 4?
Because I had to distribute that minus sign to all three terms.
Okay.
Right? So that's going to be the number one mistake. By the way, on this top part, that is by far the most missed problem. Now let's look at the D. So in the G function, I'm plugging in 2x minus 3. I'm just replacing that x with 2x minus 3. Now, if people miss this, it's because they completely forget about the minus 5. So all I have to do here is distribute. Again, don't make any silly mistakes. I know I can't distribute the 3 to the negative 5 because it's not in parentheses. Combine your like terms. So my entire answer is 6x minus 14. Any questions? Okay. Let's do number 2. So we are trying to determine the intervals where it is increasing, decreasing, or constant. Remember, this one was supposed to be constant. I did it by hand, so it's not clear. But let's go through and find every single time that it turns. So it's turning here. So by the way, what's happening from here to here? It's doing what? Increasing or decreasing?
Increasing.
So it's increasing. And then from here to here, it's decreasing. From here to here, it's increasing. And from here, it's constant. Now, remember, it's the intervals on the x where this is increasing or decreasing, okay? So my x value right here is -1, -2, -3. So it's increasing from, I see an arrow till I get here. So how do I say that? Negative infinity. And where does
Negative infinity.
Yeah, where does it stop increasing? At that value. Now I'm going to do this just straight left to right. And then from -3 to 1 to +3, it's decreasing. Again, from -3 to +3, it is decreasing. Again, from 3 to 8, it's increasing again. And here it's constant. So where is it constant? From 8 to what?
Normal, like it's positive infinity.
There you go. Now, if you just wrote infinity, that'd be fine, but we really should write positive infinity, and that just says all the way on the right side forever. All right. Now, any questions there?
So which one is this top to bottom and left to right again?
So that's if you're talking about domain and range, okay? So this is similar with this, but I want to know what are my intervals for X where my Y is increasing, decreasing, or constant, right? So I'm going to follow from this arrow, it goes down forever, which is why it's negative infinity until it gets to, and I could really bring this all the way down, right? So left to right, negative infinity, it's increasing until it gets here. So this area is increasing. From here to here, it's decreasing. Again, here to here, it's increasing. And here to here, it's constant. So you're just looking at your X values, where your Y is either going up or down. And it's always, always, always left to right. Now, let's see this. So I want you to evaluate and find the domain and range. This means, what is my Y value when X is 2? It will be marked more clearly on the quiz. But when X is 2, 1, 2, I follow this up until it hits the graph. So what's my X value when, or what's my Y value when X is 2? Well, it looks like it's about 1, 2, 3.5, whatever, 3.8. It will be marked clearly and it will clearly cross on a line. I just chose 3.8, whatever. If you wrote 4, that's fine. You wrote 3.5, that's fine. F of negative 3. What is my Y value when X is negative 3? Negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Well, at least I clearly marked that one. What's my Y value there? Negative 3. Any questions? What's my value, my Y value when X is 0? My Y value when X is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's positive 4. Any questions? That should be some gimme points, some pretty easy points on the test, on this quiz. But people end up kind of making a mistake on this. By the way, what's my domain here?
Negative infinity to positive infinity.
Perfect. So it is arrow, continuous arrow, negative infinity, positive infinity. What's my range? Again, negative infinity to positive infinity. Because arrow low, arrow high, I don't care about the turns. Negative infinity, positive infinity.
But isn't the one on the left like in the positive area?
So here's what this means. My range is always low to high, right? So all I'm kind of doing is condensing this low to high. So I see this arrow means it goes down forever, right? So my bottom part's going to be the arrow. It's continuous all the way up. Now, even though I'm going this way, I'm going to keep drawing. It's continuous, 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 and I end with another arrow, right? So my range is going down forever and going up forever. So it's all real numbers or negative infinity, positive infinity. There's no breaks in this graph.
So do you want us to read it from right to left?
Left to right always.
Okay.
So remember, your range is from bottom to top. So I find my lowest value here, which is why I actually started on the right, because that's where my lowest value is, and it was an arrow. Does that?
Yeah, I got it now.
Okay, so bottom to top with that. Now, number 4, most people do really well on this. If you've been paying attention at all on this section, this one's easy. So even, odd, or neither. all of the exponents must be even for it to be even. All of them must be odd for them to be odd. If you have an even and an odd, it's neither. So let's go through. That's a 3. That's a 1. What's my exponent here?
Zero.
It's 0. So 3 and 1 are odd. 0 is even, neither. My exponents are 4, 2, and 0. Are they all even? Yes. And here, y equals x. My exponent's a 1, which makes it odd. Questions?
Yeah, I want to ask the 3 for domain. Sorry, wouldn't that be positive, negative, or?
No, domain is always left to right. So left side goes to negative infinity. It goes left forever, and it goes right forever. The range is low to high. All right.
Wait, hold up. Can you go back to 4 again, please?
Yep.
All right, thanks.
By the way, obviously, no homework check this week. It's just the quiz. So graph the following piecewise function. So with this one, I only use this equation when x is less than -1. Make the table. So I need all my values less than -1. So I'm going to start with -1. And the biggest question is, why'd you start with -1 if I want everything less than -1? Because I know that this has to be an open circle. What's another number less than -1? Well, how about -2? Plug these in. -1 times 3 is -3, minus 2 is -5. That's an open circle. So a -1, open circle. On the quiz, if I ask you to graph, make sure that it's open. Or that you show me that it's open. -2 times 3 is -6, minus 2 is -8. So -1, 2, -8. So when you graph it, make sure you put in the arrows. The next one, and this is the easiest, between -1 and 3, I can go ahead and make another table. I have to use these values, -1 and 3. This is closed. This is open. Why is this closed? Because of the or equal to. Why is that one open? Because it does not have the or equal to. It's exclusive. So both of those are going to be 4. So at -1, 4. It is going to be closed. And at 3, 4, it's going to be open. And that is a constant, so I want all of those lines, all those values in between it. Now here's the one that's going to throw you guys off. If I give you a quadratic, again, make a table. I need a couple different points. X is greater than or equal to 3, so let's start with 3, 4, and I'm even going to throw in 5. It is closed at 3, so let's plug it in. 3 squared is 9. The opposite, so -9 plus 1 is -8. Oh, this is going to go off the graph, my fault. Plug in 4. 4 squared is 16. -16 plus 1 is -15. So at 3, -8. Closed right here. At 4, -15, it's going to go down pretty quick. So it's going to go down like that. I'm not even putting 5 on here. 5 squared is 25. Negative 25 plus 1 is negative 24. It just goes down too much. Sorry, I should have made that positive. All right, again, number 6. And I might even take number 5 off of there just because I think it'll be difficult for you guys to show me and difficult to grade, especially without a set graph. But number 6 is kind of telling me everything I need to know. This is my f function. This is my g function. So I'm trying to evaluate in my f function when x is 0. Well, which one do I use? Is 0 less than or equal to negative 3? No. Is 0 in between negative 3 and 1? Yes. So I use this equation to plug it in. So that's negative 3 times 0 plus 1, which is 1. Any questions? Do it again in my f function. Guys, more than anything, this is a practice in paying attention to details. In my f function when x is negative 5. This is my f function. X is negative 5 is less than or equal to negative 3, so I plug it in here. Negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7. C. Now I want to use my g function, g of negative 2. Oh boy, this is one that throws everybody off. Is negative 2 less than or equal to negative 3 or greater than negative 3?
Greater than.
Greater than. So I've got negative 2/3 times negative 2 plus 1. Well, guess what? You're bad at fractions. Okay. Use your calculator. So if I do negative 2/3, parenthesis, negative, not the minus sign, but negative 2 plus 1. Oh, and it gives me a decimal. Darn, Mr. Riley doesn't want a decimal. Guess what I do? Hit math, enter, enter again, and there's your fraction. By the way, again, I think the calculator is more difficult to use than do it by hand. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4 divided by 3. Plus 1, get a common denominator, multiply it by 3, is really 3/3. My answer is 7/3. Next one. Question? All right. In my g function when x is 0, 0 is greater than negative 3. So I plug it in again right here. So negative 2/3 times 0 plus 1 is just 1. E, I want my f function again. When x is 2, 2 is greater than 1, so my answer is 0. And the last one, I want g of negative 5. Negative 5 is less than or equal to negative 3, so I plug it in right here. Two times negative 5 is negative 10 minus 3. I've got negative 13, and I have to square it. Negative 13 squared is positive 169. Again, you could type that right in your calculator. 2, parenthesis, negative 5. Make sure you put your parentheses. Minus 3. Sorry. Minus 3, parentheses, I want the whole thing squared, 169. If you're going to use a calculator, make sure you do it correctly. difference quotient is this. And that will be on your quiz. I'll give that to you. So what that means is you're plugging in x plus h anywhere you see an x. Minus, we're subtracting our entire original function. Divided by h. Clean it up, distribute. Minus 3x plus 2. Combine your like terms. 3x minus 3x, negative 2 plus 2. So I have 3h divided by h, and my answer is just 3. You better show me all of your work. Show me you know what's going on, what you're substituting in. Make sure when you're subtracting that function, you have to distribute the negative sign. That's the #1 most missed problem. Now let's do it again down at the bottom.
I don't really get it. Why'd you plug in 3 for the F?
I didn't plug in 3 for the F. Which part? Wait, whoa. Where are you? Right here?
Yeah. Because you know in the original one where
Yeah.
it has the little like swiggly thing.
Okay, so look right here.
Yeah.
It's 3x minus 2 is what it is, right?
Right.
So we have 3x minus 2. I'm only plugging in for the x, right? And what am I plugging in? X plus h. So x plus h is going to go right next to that 3, and I still have to keep the minus 2.
Oh.
Okay? And then I'm subtracting my original function, so minus the whole function, 3x minus 2. Make sure you distribute.
Can you scoot the page over? We can't see the whole problem.
Is that better?
Yeah.
All right, so let's do number 7. Or number 7. Let's do the second one. So again, I'm plugging in x plus h first anywhere I see an x. That's my first step. And then I'm subtracting the entire function. And it's all over h. Now, I don't like to put that just because I'm gonna need some room here. When I FOIL this out, make sure you square it. So let me kind of get rid of this here. Know that it's there. So when I square this, I get x squared plus xh, which is 2xh plus h squared. Distribute. Anytime you have a negative sign next to parentheses, you have to distribute the minus sign. And that's what we get. Combine your like terms. So I have h squared plus 2xh. There's a plus 3x and a minus 3x. Those are gone. Minus 1, plus 1, those are gone. Now, every single time you do this, all of your constants there, all of your x's, everything should have an h left. Like over here, the h is canceled out, so my answer was 3. Here, some of your h's are going to cancel. I can divide them all by h. So when I divide them by h, my answer is h plus 2x plus 3. And that's it. All right. So A, B, C, and D. I give you a slope passing through a point. I can either use point slope form, y equals mx plus b, whatever you want. Here's my m value. So let's just do y equals mx plus b. This is your x and that's your y. Y equals m x plus b with a fraction times the top, divide by the bottom. So that gives me 3 equals -8 times -3 is positive 24 divided by 4, which is 6 plus b. So b is -3. Once I have an m and a b, write the equation. So the answer to A is y equals -3 force x minus 3. Again, I know I'm going kind of quickly. Can always go back through and watch the video, or in about an hour, I will have this posted on Canvas. By the way, part of the reason I'm going so quick, we've only got about 10 minutes left. Your quiz tomorrow, I will give you all period, but it is not due until midnight. You must show all work. Make sure that you submit it.
How many questions?
It's gonna be about 8. I might take this one off, so it might be a little bit less. I think that'll be difficult to grade and difficult to really see if you guys are doing it by hand. So I might take that one off. But make sure you know how to do this. So on B, find your slope first. y2 minus y1. So m is -4 minus 2 over 1 plus 3, which is -6 over 4, which is -3/2. So for B, pick a point. Y equals m.
Can you lift the paper up?
Upside. Y equals m x plus b. Oh no, again, a fraction. -3 times -3 is +9 divided by 2 plus b. If you're not good with fractions, use your calculator, but again, this is no big deal. So when I subtract 9/2, common denominator times 2, that is just 4/2 minus 9/2, which is -5/2. So your answer to B, put it together. We've got a slope, we've got a y-intercept. There you go. Again, if you get a fraction, no big deal. Get a common denominator, add or subtract them. If you still don't know fractions, that's fine, use your calculator, but if you rely on your calculator for everything, it's going to take you just too long. Next one. The only reason I give you an equation is so that you can find your slope. I do not care about anything else. Remember, parallel lines have the same slope. Perpendicular lines, their slopes are opposite reciprocal. So let's do C. Solve for y. So if I add 3y to both sides, that's what I've got. Divide by 3, and I know that my slope is 2/3. Again, you got a point and a slope. Y equals m x plus b. Times the top, 6 times 2 is 12, divided by 3 is 4. and B is -5. Put it all together. My answer for C is again, tomorrow on your quiz, you do not have to write the question, but you better label which one it is. Make sure I see all work and circle your final answer. D, last one, perpendicular. Again, solve for y. So when I subtract 3x, divide by 2, that's what I've got. But if my slope here is -3 what slope do I use? Opposite reciprocal. If it's negative, positive 2/3. And the point -3, 1. So y equals m x plus b. -3 times 2 is -6, divided by 3 is -2. So b equals 3. So your answer for D, put it all together, y equals 2/3 x plus 3. Now, all together, we've really only done a couple things that are new or any different than Algebra 2. One is the difference quotient. One is talking about the piecewise functions. We've done this before. That's actually an Algebra 1 standard. And this is actually an Algebra 2 standard. Talking about the intervals, that's pretty new. And this is the same thing. And just, can you read what this is saying? What's my value of y? What's my y value when x is 2? And then even, odd, or neither, again, should be pretty simple. All right? Any last questions?
Is there no retakes?
There's no retakes.
Wait, on number 4, can you explain how the A is neither?
Yeah, because you're only looking at your exponents. So your exponent here is a 3, and that's a 1, but a constant has an exponent of 0, and 0 is an even exponent. So 3, 1, and 0, odd, odd, even, makes it neither. Remember, if it's even, they all must be even. If it's odd, they all must be odd. If it's neither, just write neither. That means you have at least one even, one odd.
All right.
All right. All right, with that, we've only got about 3 minutes left, so I'm going to go ahead and try and post this here. Actually, I probably won't have time until after homeroom. So I will post it at about 11:35, 11:40. And then, yeah, if you have questions, email me. But again, you guys will have, you'll have tomorrow from about 10 o'clock until midnight to get this done. Now, you'll have the entire period to do it. All right. So please don't wait until tonight to do it, just in case you have any issues submitting it or anything else. All right. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording.